Thank you for joining us. I'm Naiba Reynoso. Ahead, the county's unclaimed dead are laid to rest. Plus, the Arboretum lights up for the holidays. But first, the Department of Consumer and Business Affairs has implemented strict protections for renters in Los Angeles County. Here's how it works.
I received an eviction letter that was just asking for my keys. When can you be out? I need you out by the 31st. I've never lived in a house that was sold and I had to be relocated or anything, but I asked her to come by, and when I spoke to her, that's when I was concerned, because I could tell that she was very cold and she was very much like, get out.
Too many of our residents have suffered physically, emotionally, and financially, with tenants and property owners being some of the hardest hit. This past year has highlighted the importance of having clear guidance and protections for tenants and landlords. Thankfully, our Board of Supervisors has adopted actions that have helped prevent unnecessary housing displacement and continue to protect vulnerable residents throughout the pandemic.
Consumer protections, rent protections that was provided for me, they helped me, they guided me to the forms that I needed to fill out. They told me the things that I needed to do. So I went right to EDN, I went right to the website, and went right to where I needed, and man, it was such relief to have what I needed right there and to know ahead of time.
We understand that each situation is unique, but struggling renters should reach out to us immediately to determine what protections apply and what resources are available. We can help provide information on your rights as a tenant or a landlord, where to apply for rent relief, and whether you qualify for free legal assistance.
I'm so glad that every question that I had, they had an answer for, and where I thought I needed help, there was help. So I was very thankful for that.
Call us at 1-800-593-8222 for more information. We're here to help.
Every year, the county lays to rest its unclaimed dead with dignity. Since 1896, an interfaith burial ceremony has been held to remember and celebrate their lives. Here's more.
Today, we once again gather to remember these 1,780 persons who came to LA for various reasons and died here. And for 3 years, we have sought as a county to have their family come and pick up their remains.
These are the LA County residents who either were homeless or poor. Many of them were children and immigrants, and no one claimed their bodies.
But we do know that they were fathers, mothers, aunts, friends, uncles. This is why we are here today, to make sure they are not forgotten.
We've gathered together several religious leaders to try to honor the variety of the spiritual traditions or no spiritual tradition of the persons that we honor today.
There are so many people from even beyond LA County who want to participate in at least being here when we lay them to rest so that their souls can feel love and appreciation.
So it's a very somber moment, but it's also an amazing, powerful moment globally, since most communities don't do that. And so we celebrate the commitment that the LA County has had since, I believe, 1896.
A new climate vulnerability assessment presents a sobering picture of the future of climate change in the region, but also outlines areas of hope. And today we are here with GERO, Chief Sustainability Officer for the County of Los Angeles. Thank you so much for being here.
Happy to be here.
Well, we know that the LA County Climate Vulnerability Assessment Report was just released. Tell us, what was the purpose of this report?
Yeah, the idea of the report was to really understand at a community scale, what are the likely changes that we're going to see from climate change and who's going to be impacted. And these kinds of assessments have been done before, but they've been done at a much bigger scale. These are down at the census tract level. We're looking at not only what are the changes we're going to see in the census tract, but who lives in that census tract, whether they have disabilities. There's lots of older adults, there are people in mobile homes, so that we could understand what kinds of policy or programs we need in order to address the changes that we're going to see.
Right, because the report definitely presents a sobering picture of life in Los Angeles County in the next 30 years with droughts, extreme heat, flooding, and rising sea levels. What communities are going to be most impacted by these climate changes?
Yeah, we're going to see changes all over the county, of course. So if you live in Lancaster, Palmdale, you're certainly going to see extreme heat. If you live in even in parts of Southeast LA, whether it's Southgate or Montebello, you're going to see both extreme heat and even potentially some impacts from inland flooding. You could see, of course, coastal flooding due to sea level rise in places like Long Beach and Marina del Rey. And it's just going to get a lot hotter, and we know that. Right. And it's going to get a lot hotter all over the place. So in the San Fernando Valley, in Reseda, in Santa Clarita. And we know that, for instance, in a place like Reseda, there's a large number of people whose first language isn't English, who we may have difficulty getting messaging out to. So knowing that helps us figure out the strategies to notify those people of those dangers.
Right. So we also know that lower income and communities of color, the elderly, are going to be most impacted by extreme climate change. What can we do now to help these communities?
Right. Well, the first thing is to just understand the impacts that are likely to come, and that's what a report like this is for. But then really the next step is action. We have to start taking action to address these impacts. And there are things that we as government can do. Of course, we can build out more parks and build tree canopy in communities that lack that tree canopy. You know, there are parts of Los Angeles, typically low-income communities of color, where we simply haven't put in the kind of investment that we need to in terms of street trees and other trees to cool a neighborhood.
Tell us what most surprised you after looking at all of the results of this very thorough report.
Yeah, you know, I think we always understood that it is communities of color that suffer disproportionately from things like air pollution. We know that Black children have much higher rates of asthma than white children. So we expected to see that to some degree in this climate vulnerability assessment as well. But one of the things that I think was most surprising was that while Hispanics and Latinx population is about 50% of LA County, when we looked at the census tracts that we're going to see the most extreme heat and have the most vulnerability, Latinos and Hispanics made up about 2/3 of the population in those communities. And that kind of disparity really was eye-opening to us.
Right. But we also are very, we have hope because the county has developed one of the most far-reaching sustainability plans in the country. So can you share some of the highlights of that plan?
Yeah, and I also say that we have hope because it doesn't have to be this bad. You know, this is a projection, and it's a projection, quite honestly, based on not doing anything or doing very little. And if we collectively take action, we know that it doesn't have to be this bad. But the sustainability plan, is comprehensive, as you say. It's very aggressive. There are some 159 actions, and over 1/3 of those actually help us with community resilience. So things like tree planting, things like cooler surfaces, things like taking out pavement where it isn't necessary. You know, we have a lot of asphalt in this city and in this county that doesn't serve a very good purpose, and it gathers a lot of heat. So if you can start to de-pave parts of our county, we can actually reduce the impacts of heat. And then we need to think about where we actually build housing. We know we need a lot more housing, but should we be building it in places that are subject to wildfire? Or should we be putting people at risk, knowingly at risk, because it's a severe high fire hazard zone? And so we need to be thinking about how do we prevent harm in the first place? And those are all things that are within our sustainability plan, as well as things like converting our county fleet to 100% zero emission vehicles and phasing out oil drilling. And also getting to 100% clean renewable energy to power our communities. So those are all things that we are actively pushing in order to reduce both to mitigate the impacts, but also help our communities become more resilient.
Yeah, well, it's good to know that the average citizen can do their part in improving climate change or scaling it back a bit. Is there a website where we can get more information to see what actionable steps we can take as an average citizen to help this situation?
Absolutely. If you just go to our website at LACOUNTY.GOV/sustainability, you'll have access to our sustainability plan as well as to this climate vulnerability assessment and the mapping tool that I mentioned that will help you identify the impacts in your own community.
Well, thank you so much, Gary, for your time. We know there's a lot of work to be done, but we really appreciate everything you're doing, and we hope to talk to you soon.
Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate the opportunity to talk about this work.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us. We leave you now with scenes from the spectacular holiday light show at the Arboretum called Lightscape. We'll see you next time on LA County Close Up.
Right now through January 16th, we've invited an amazing light show called Lightscape here to the Arboretum. This Lightscape is actually the West Coast debut. It came here direct from London. There's a 1-mile path. The gardens are illuminated with beautiful lighting fixtures. We have a fire garden, a winter cathedral. You can take a picture of family and friends here and it just looks like you're floating in a sea of stars. The Arboretum has been home to many television shows and movies that have been shot here. The Fantasy Island House is here and sits just off of Baldwin Lake. The finale of the evening is the Sea of Light. It's a beautiful field. The Arboretum Bower Lawn is lit up with lights that do dance to holiday music, that are in sync with this music. And it really leaves you with just a wonderful feeling. We hope that everyone comes down and visits us for Lightscape. It's a one-of-a-kind light show we think that everybody's going to really enjoy. It is a timed entry. You do have to get your tickets in advance at arboretum.org. Bring your family, bring your friends, and explore the Arboretum in a whole new way and join us for Lightscape.